Revealed. How one incredible blind date changed the CEO's daughter's life in just 24 hours. Samantha sat in her sleek, silver car, the engine humming softly, but beneath the luxury lay a storm of frustration. She stared into the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of the glimmering mansion visible in the distance. Just one date, her father insisted, one chance to meet someone suitable. A part of her wanted to scream, to dash away and escape the weight of her family's expectations like a bucket of cold water splashed on her sunlit dreams. But she clenched the steering wheel, knowing she had little choice. The diner was a world away from her polished life. It buzzed with laughter, the scent of frying bacon wafting through the air, and the worn booze spoke of years of conversations and shared moments. As she stepped inside, the nostalgia enveloped her. Then he walked in. Jake, a mechanic in jeans and a bright smile, looked like a breath of fresh air. She could feel the tension in her chest easing, a flicker of connection igniting as he extended his hand. The moment their eyes met, something shifted. He spoke about his love for cars, the thrill of the road, the satisfaction of hands-on work. Samantha couldn't help but lean closer, captivated by the passion that radiated from him. He described a community where neighbors helped each other, where family meant everything. It's not about the money, Jake said earnestly. It's about who you love and how hard you work for them. And at that moment, Samantha felt a warmth building inside her. The two talked, shared dreams, and laughed as if the weight of the world vanished around them. Unity flowed effortlessly between them, revealing that what mattered most was the connection, the authenticity she craved deep down. But even as shadows flickered in her heart, a storm brewed across town. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as their smiles faded, Samantha's phone buzzed furiously. Her father's name flashed on the screen, and a chill swept over her. It's not acceptable, he bellowed when she finally answered. This boy, he's a mechanic. Disgust dripped from his words, and Samantha's heart sank, battling between the love for her father and the budding feelings for Jake. Days later, the atmosphere shifted like a heavy fog. A heart attack, her father was in hospital. In that sterile waiting room, surrounded by family members who barely knew her, she saw the true colors of Jake's world. His family was there, arms linked, supporting each other. It grated against the facade of her own family, now crumbling. Samantha stood, her resolve hardening. She confronted her father, their words colliding like thunder. It's not about class, Dad. She shot back, realizing this was not just a fight for love but for her soul. With Jake at her side, they began to rally a once-divided community, igniting a cause that bridged worlds. But just as the fire was lit, the shadows of Jake's past crept closer, a war hero with scars unseen by those who only saw the surface. As they worked together, Samantha couldn't shake the weight of her father's expectations. Tension filled every corner of her being. Then it happened. A call from her father tugged at her heart. You need to come home, his voice begged. What would she choose? The life laid out for her, or the unknown path filled with passion and purpose? The question hung heavy in the air, leaving her breathless with anticipation. Samantha took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside her. The sterile hospital environment felt suffocating, but she had to face her father. The call replayed in her mind. You need to come home. He was vulnerable, a side of him she had never seen. Even though she felt anger boiling at his expectations, a pang of love tugged at her heart. Okay, Dad, I'll be there, she finally replied, forcing her voice to steady. Driving back, she felt her mind racing. With every passing block, doubts seeped back in. What if this comeback was just another demand in disguise? Couldn't he see that she was fighting for something real? Something that mattered? The diner, the laughter, Jake, they were all part of a world that felt alive, a contrast to the polished cage she'd been raised in. When she walked into the familiar hospital lobby, calm, yet determined, she spotted Jake waiting just outside her father's room. A surge of warmth filled her. He stood there, a beacon of authenticity amidst the chaos. His presence grounded her, reminding her of what really mattered. Seeing him, a wave of reassurance washed over her. She smiled, and Jake met her gaze with that comforting grin. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his voice low and sincere. "I'm surviving," she admitted, shrugging slightly. "But I need to talk to my dad." Jake nodded knowingly, his eyes darkening for a moment. "I'll be right here if you need me." Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door. As the sterile scent of antiseptics filled her nostrils, her heart raced. Her father lay on the bed, pale but awake. The machines beeped rhythmically, a reminder of fragility. "Hey, Dad," she said softly, trying to mask her fear. "How are you feeling?" "Samantha," he croaked. I'm okay. Just tired." His eyes softened. "I realized I may have pushed you too hard." She studied him, searching for a trace of the man who always dictated her life. Did that mean he would finally understand her? "I know you want the best for me," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "But this isn't what I want. I want to choose my own path." With Jake. "He different, but he good, Dad." Silence settled between them, heavy and uncertain. Her father glanced at the wall, frustration flickering across his features. "Honey," he just a mechanic. "You know your mother wouldn't approve, Mom, isn't here." She snapped, the words slipping out before she could stop them. "And this isn't about her. This is about me, Dad. I'm tired of living under the shadow of our family name." The tension thickened, filling the air like fog. Then, slowly, he turned to face her, his expression softening. "I just want you to be safe." "There are things like what?" She interrupted, anger and hurt spilling out. "If Jake isn't enough for you, then who is? The wealthy, the comfortable? I don't want that life." His eyes held hers, searching. Finally, he whispered, "I just want you to be happy." Tears brimmed in her eyes. "Then trust me, Dad. Let me find my own happiness for once." He looked as if he was thinking it through, and she sensed a hunch of acceptance. But like a sudden storm, uncertainty struck again. A notification buzzed from her phone. Jake was calling. "I'll be right outside," he said, voice steady. As she stepped out, her heart pounded with anticipation. Could this be the beginning of a new path? As she reached for the door, she turned back to see her father, a mix of pride and pain on his face. Would he step in her world, or would he hold her back yet again? The question hung in the air, a new battle line drawn between what was expected and what was possible. Samantha stepped into the hallway, her heart pounding in her chest. The fluorescent lights above flickered, a reflection of the turmoil inside her. The door to her father's room was still shut, but she could hear the faint hum of machines and her father's struggling breaths. It was a painful reminder of how fragile life could be. Taking another deep breath, she glanced back toward Jake. He leaned against the wall, his arms crossed, an anchor in the storm swirling within her. Her heart swelled with gratitude. She knew he understood what was at stake. He saw her, the real her, not just the daughter of a wealthy businessman with expectations to fulfill. "Everything okay?" Jake asked, stepping closer. There was a protective glint in his eyes that made her feel a little braver. "Not yet, but I think we're getting there." She reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers. It was a gesture as simple as it was powerful. It felt as if she was holding on to her own truth. "You got this, Sam. Just be honest, like you always are." He squeezed her hand gently, his warmth infusing her with strength. Their eyes locked, and for a brief moment, the worry faded. With Jake by her side, her father's heavy expectations felt a little lighter. The weight on her shoulders didn't seem so unbearable. Just then, the door creaked open, interrupting their silent exchange. Her father's expression wavered between relief and concern. Behind him, the white room seemed more sterile than ever. "Can I come in?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Of course, he replied, his voice a quiet rasp. The anticipation of the conversation ahead young like electricity, shocking her body with every step. Taking careful strides, she entered the room and paused, her gaze capturing the scene. It was raw and real, her father in bed, vulnerable and stripped of his usual bravado. This was the man who had shaped her world. Yet today, he felt almost like a stranger. "Dad," she began, her voice cracking as she approached the bedside. He looked up, eyes glistening with unshed tears. I'm sorry, Sam. I never wanted to hurt you." The earnest tone in his voice tugged at her heartstrings. "But you have, Dad. You always thought you knew what was best for me." This was the moment she'd been waiting for, the moment to lay everything bare and start fresh. "It's not just about you wanting me to follow a certain path," she continued, her words spilling out. "It's about your fear of losing me to someone who doesn't fit the mold you created. Someone like Jake." She felt a surge of confidence flooding through her. "But you need to understand that he makes me happy. For the first time, I feel alive, Dad. You can't keep trying to control everything." His features twitched. "I didn't mean to control you. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. Then help me learn, instead of pushing me away." Her voice trembled slightly, but remained fierce. "I'm asking for your support, not your judgment." The silence that followed hung heavy between them, like a forgotten promise. Finally, her father nodded, the fight seemingly leaving his body. Maybe I have to try harder to understand." Hope flickered in her heart. Was this the shift they both needed? Could he really step into her world, let down his guard, and see Jake for who he truly was? The moment felt electric. But before she could celebrate, a new thought nagged at her. What would come next? As her heart thudded in her chest, she realized she still needed to prove to her father that love and happiness couldn't be packaged neatly, defined by old expectations. Would she have to fight for her father's acceptance? Or would he finally let her be free to make her own decisions? In that charged silence, a sliver of uncertainty returned, the air thickening with unspoken words. It was far from over, and both Samantha and her father were left standing on the brink of transformation. But would they dare to leap? Samantha held her breath, the weight of uncertainty heavy in the air. The flickering lights seemed to pulse with her heart, mirroring the conflict that swirled inside her. She had laid her truth bare, yet the path forward felt foggy, the outcome still undefined. Would her father embrace her choices, or would he retreat into the safety of his expectations? Her father's gaze dropped for a moment, processing her words as if they were clouds breaking apart to reveal a blue sky. "I want what's best for you, Sam." "That never changed," he said softly. It was the reply she hoped for, yet doubt lingered like a shadow. "Dad, I know you do. But what you see is best, isn't always what I need," she replied, her voice steadying. "You can't keep projecting your fears onto me." He nodded slowly, allowing her words to sink in. She saw the internal struggle etched across his face, fear battling with love. It was a familiar dance, but now it felt different. The change in their dynamic hung in the air like the fragile moment before a glass shatters, inviting the risk of something beautiful or the continuation of the same old patterns. Maybe he faltered. "Maybe I need to learn to let go." Jake, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "Your daughter is strong, sir. She'll face challenges, but she needs your trust to flourish, like you did when you were her age." Her father eyed Jake, processing the young man's words. There was a tension in the room, the kind that could either snap or be molded into something new. "What a wild world it is out there," her father murmured, almost to himself. "I was so focused on protecting you, I forgot to teach you how to live." Samantha felt a rush of warmth at those words. "Thank you, Dad. It means everything that you're willing to consider it." But she wasn't ready to let her guard down yet. "I know it won't be easy. There will be misunderstandings. There might be mistakes." She reached for his hand, feeling its frailness against her own. "But I want us to be real together." For a brief moment, something shifted in her father's expression. Hope, skepticism, a fragile acceptance. "Okay," he said, taking a deep breath, a steely resolve creeping into his voice. Let us start small. You and Jake, I want to get to know him better. A rush of excitement overcame Samantha, but the words escaped her. His acceptance was a landmark moment, a crack in the barriers they both had willingly fortified for too long. Really? You want to have dinner with us? He hesitated, anxiety flickering in his eyes. If it makes you happy, I'll try. But I have to be open to it and to my own doubts. Dinner it is then. She grinned, feeling the tension in the room slacken just a touch. I want to show you who Jake is and how much he means to me. Just give him a chance. Before her father could respond, the monitor beside him let out a sharp beep, jolting them both. He winced, and suddenly, the moment transformed. Reminders of mortality returned to the forefront. Sam, he began, his voice trembling. She squeezed his hand tighter, panic curling in her stomach. Dad, stay with me. Suddenly, the door burst open, and the nurse rushed in. Mr. Reynolds, we need to check your vitals. The mood shifted rapidly, love, uncertainty, fear all blending into a whirlpool of emotions. As the nurse began her work, Samantha and Jake exchanged a concerned glance. It was as if hope and worry were dancing together in a chaotic rhythm. The moment had pulled them back under the harsh reality, the fragility of life. Will her father find the strength to embrace a different kind of love? Would he come through this without retreating to old ways? In a world where the stakes felt higher than ever, Samantha realized that their journey was only just beginning and the hardest part might still be ahead. Samantha felt her heart race as the nurse worked quickly, focused intently on her father's vitals. The whir of machines punctuated the silence, each beep a reminder of time slipping away. She held his hand, sending silent messages of strength and love, as if her grip alone could tether him to this moment. Everything's going to be okay, she whispered, attempting to convince herself as much as him. Her father opened his eyes, a hint of vulnerability flashing across his face. Sam, I'm scared, he murmured, his voice barely louder than a whisper. The confession hung in the air, its weight heavier than any medical jargon could convey. Samantha squeezed his hand tighter. It's okay to be scared. I'm scared too. But we have each other. That's what matters. The nurse finished checking his vitals and stepped back, sensing the charged atmosphere. Mr. Reynolds, your numbers look stable, she reported, a professional calm surrounding her. I'll give you some time before the doctor comes back. As she left, the air felt lighter, though the tension didn't fully dissipate. Samantha turned to Jake, who remained nearby, concern etched deep into his features. Do you want to wait outside? She asked softly, wanting to give her father room, but also needing Jake's support. He shook his head. No, I'm right here. Her father glanced between them, taking in the connection they shared. Jake, do you really care about my daughter? The question hung heavy in the air. Samantha's heart pounded, and she couldn't help but hope for a positive outcome. Yes, sir, I do. With everything I have, Jake replied, his voice steady and sincere. Samantha beamed, pride swelling in her chest as she watched Jake face her father with unwavering honesty. Yes, great, Dad. With him, I feel alive. Her father's brow furrowed, a flicker of uncertainty passing through his eyes. Alive? This world, it can be cruel, unpredictable. We can't control everything, Dad, she replied, her voice soft yet resolute. But we can choose how we respond. I want to embrace life, and that includes my choices, even if they scare you. He sighed, each breath laden with the weight of his thoughts. You remind me of your mother. She had that same fire. A sadness washed over her. The mention of her mother, both a comfort and a sharp ache. Then you know why it's important for me to fight for my happiness, to find my own way. Her father nodded slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing just a bit. There was a shift, a subtle acknowledgement that he was beginning to understand. Dinner, I think it's a step, he said finally, almost as if he were still talking to himself. But I don't know how to let go of my fears. Start by trusting us, Jake chimed in. We're not asking for perfection, just a chance to show you what we can be. The vulnerability in her father's eyes held a hint of something new possibility. Okay, I'll do my best. A smile broke through the haze, lighting up Samantha's face. That's all I can ask. We'll figure out together. Just then, the doctor entered, his expression serious. Mr. Reynolds, I need to discuss your treatment plan. Samantha's heart sank as she braced for the worst. She sought Jake's eyes for reassurance, and he grasped her hand firmly, anchoring her as the doctor spoke. Your condition has changed slightly. The words tumbled out, and the tension in the room reached a boiling point. What did this mean? What was coming next? Samantha felt her breath hitch in her throat as she focused on her father. Would this be their moment to shine even brighter, or a thunderous crash? In the silence that followed, the air felt electric with dread and hope, leaving Samantha questioning if they'd face another storm or finally find a way to the calm. Samantha held her breath, the doctor's presence igniting a whirlwind of emotions. He was looking at her father with a grave intensity, and every passing second felt like a jolt of fear running through her veins. What do you mean changed? She finally found the courage to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. The doctor's gaze shifted to her, and she could see the weight of his words forming. We need to adjust the treatment. There are some complications we didn't anticipate. He paused, letting the silence settle in like a lead weight. But let me assure you, we have options. Jake's hand tightened around her own, providing a steady pulse of support. What options? His voice was calm, but Samantha could feel his tension. The doctor leaned closer, in a tone both serious and hopeful. We can modify the dosage of your father's medication. There's a new procedure that's shown promise in cases like his. It isn't a guarantee, but could work. Her father looked between them, the worry etched on his face mingling with a flicker of something, perhaps hope. Samantha felt her heart racing once more, hovering between the precipice of despair and the dawn of new possibilities. How soon can this procedure happen? She asked urgently. It's something we can schedule within the week. But there are risks involved. I need you all to understand that, the doctor cautioned, gauging their reactions. Risks, her father echoed, his expression darkening. How do we know it's worth it? It's an informed choice, the doctor replied. You'll be given all the information to make the best decision for yourself. Samantha could feel the fight in her father wavering. He was trapped in a storm of doubt and fear, and she knew he had to break free. Dad, she said softly, you've always taught me that nothing worth having comes easy. This is our chance to breathe life into hope. His eyes met hers, flooded with emotion. Everything she wanted to say hung in the air, but she focused on this moment, this connection they shared. You need to fight for this to fight for us, Samantha pressed, her voice steady. We'll be right by your side. For a moment, time stood still. Every gaze in the room zeroed in on her father, waiting for his response. With a labored breath, he nodded slowly, a decision beginning to solidify within him. Okay, he said, his voice stronger than before. Let us do it. A wave of relief washed over Samantha as a smile broke across her face. She turned to Jake, who was beaming with pride. He stepped closer, wrapping an arm around her shoulder, holding her as she leaned into him. The doctor offered a reassuring smile before explaining the next steps. But Samantha's mind drifted, filled with thoughts of possibility. This moment could change everything. They could finally break free from the shadows of uncertainty. Time passed as details were discussed, the procedure, the risks, the hopes. But all she could think about was the warmth that enveloped her and her father's determined spirit that seemed to spark something deep inside. Yes, they left the hospital room. The weight of the day creaked from Samantha's shoulders. Jake entertained thoughts of dinner plans as they walked. How about we celebrate with your dad when he's back home? He suggested, his voice light with optimism. Yes, a big dinner with cake. We'll make it special, she agreed, a grin spreading across her face. But just as they reached the exit, Samantha turned back to glance at her father. He was standing still, staring at the machines that had been keeping him alive. Something flickered in his gaze, a mixture of uncertainty and strength. A thought hit her, what if, amid the fear, They could uncover uncharted territory in each other's hearts. "Dad, I know you're scared," she called out, her voice filled with warmth. "But facing this together means so much more than being afraid apart." Their eyes met, and for a long moment, the silence stretched. Would her words break through his defenses? As he stepped forward toward her light, the air buzzed with expectation, leaving her breathless. What would tomorrow hold for them? Would they grasp this opportunity with both hands or let it slip away? In that moment, they stood on the brink of something monumental, both terrified and exhilarated. But one thing was certain: they had each other to lean on, no matter what awaited them on the other side. Samantha could hardly contain her excitement as they left the hospital. The uncertainty that had clung to her like a shadow began to lift, replaced by a flicker of hope. Jake's arm was still around her as they walked to the car, and she found comfort in his presence. "Can you believe he said yes?" she asked, gazing up at Jake, her heart still racing. "It's a big step, but it's exactly what you needed," he said, his smile brightening the fading light of the day. They reached the car, but he paused, suddenly serious. "But you know this won't be easy. There is a lot of work ahead." She nodded, the waves of reality crashing against her optimistic shore. "I know, but we can manage it together, right?" "Always," Jake promised, as they climbed into the car. The drive back felt like a dream. The city's glow illuminated the streets, but her mind was too occupied with thoughts of her father and the procedure they had decided on. What if it was too late? Would her father feel the weight of their expectations? Each passing moment felt like an eternity as she worried about the implications of their decision. When they got home, her father was sitting in his favorite chair, flicking through an old photo album. He looked smaller somehow, a shadow of the man she once knew, and her heart ached at the sight. "Hey, Dad," she said softly, kneeling beside him. "We talked to the doctor. We're going to try something new." He looked up, a mixture of surprise and apprehension in his eyes. "You heard about the risks?" "I did," she admitted, shifting nervously. "But risks mean there's a chance you can get better. We believe in you." Her dad's hands trembled as he turned the pages of the album. "I don't want you to burden yourselves with my decisions. It's my life, my choice." "But it's not just your life," Samantha implored gently. "It's our life, too. We all share this. We want you to fight for us all." For a moment, his gaze softened. They shared a silence filled with mutual understanding and pain. Then he smiled faintly, but didn't reach his eyes. "Sometimes it feels easier to let go." "Letting go isn't the answer," she rallied, squeezing his hand. "You taught me to be a fighter. Remember when I struggled with soccer? You said, it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up." He looked at her, a flicker of the old spark igniting in his expression. "You're right, sweetheart. I guess I need to find that fight again. What if you focused on getting through this one day at a time?" Jake chimed in, stepping closer to support her. "It's okay to lean on us. We want to support you." Her father nodded slowly, and Samantha felt a surge of hope. But doubt was still etched in his face. She didn't want him to hide anything. "Dad, if you're afraid, please talk to us. We're in this together." I think," he said, his voice wavering as the evening progressed. They shared stories and laughter over dinner, the air lightening ever so slightly. Yet, fragments of the past haunted them, a constant reminder of the journey ahead. Later that night, after everyone had gone to bed, Samantha found herself staring at the ceiling, thoughts swirling. Her father's uncertainty loomed like thunderclouds, ready to burst. But wasn't she feeling that same fear? What if the procedure didn't work? What if it was a false hope? Just then, her phone vibrated beside her. A text from Jake lit up the screen. "Thinking of you. Tomorrow is a new day. We've got this." She smiled softly, her heart swelling with gratitude. Taking a deep breath, she whispered into the quiet room, "Tomorrow, we fight. For each other." With that, her eyes fluttered shut, holding on to the fragile hope of a better day. But as she drifted into a restless sleep, a shadow of doubt crept at the edges of her dreams. What would happen when reality clashed with hope? Would they be able to face the truth when it counted the most? Tomorrow felt closer than ever, but it also felt radically out of reach. Morning arrived with a hesitant light breaking through the curtains. Samantha's heart drummed against her chest as the realization of the day ahead set in. Today, they were going to the hospital for her father's procedure. Every tick of the clock felt louder, echoing her anxiety through the quiet house. In the kitchen, the smell of coffee filled the air, but it didn't ease her nerves. Jake was already there, pouring steaming cups, an anchor in the storm that raged within her. He glanced up with a reassuring smile, but she could see the concern behind his eyes. "Are you okay?" he asked, handing her a cup. "I'm just so many thoughts racing around," she confessed, wrapping her fingers around the warm ceramic. It offered some comfort, but not nearly enough. What if something goes wrong? Jake stepped closer, tipping her chin up to meet his gaze. "Look, you've got to remember, hope and fear live in the same place. It's okay to feel both. Your dad's taken a brave step. Trust in him." His words were like a warm embrace, yet doubt lingered stubbornly like a guest who overstayed their welcome. She took a deep breath, trying to focus on the positives instead of the whirlpool of what-ifs that spun in her mind. After breakfast, they made their way to the hospital. The drive felt surreal, a blur of passing cars and bustling sidewalks. Each red light felt like a pause in time, a moment for her worries to spiral further. She wanted to grasp onto the hope for her father, but the fear that gripped her heart was hard to shake off. When they finally arrived, Samantha felt a knot tightening in her stomach. She walked alongside Jake, who instinctively reached for her hand. It was comforting, grounding them both as they entered the hospital's sterile environment. The bright lights and the scent of antiseptic seemed to amplify her anxiety. In the waiting room, nerves danced in the air and echoed in the muted conversations around them. Samantha fidgeted, her foot tapping against the floor, when suddenly she felt a gentle squeeze on her shoulder. Turning, she found her father standing behind her, still small, but with a semblance of determination in his eyes that she hadn't seen in a while. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, trying to match his composure. "I am," he replied, vulnerability seeping through his bravado. "And I'm glad you're here." As they settled into their seats, the doctor entered the room with a reassuring smile that was both comforting and intimidating. He explained the details of the procedure in a way that made it seem attainable, like climbing a hill together rather than walking a tightrope alone. "Focus on the small victories," he said, his tone encouraging. "One step at a time. You've got a strong team behind you." Her father's hand sought hers, squeezing tight as if drawing strength from their connection. In that moment, Samantha realized that these could be the steps they were looking for. Each shared moment, each struggle faced together, added layers to their bond. Time passed slowly, and when the moment came for her father to be taken into surgery, Samantha felt torn. She wanted to stay strong, but fear threatened to overtake her. She could see the uncertainty flicker in her father's eyes, mirroring her own, and a wave of sadness washed over her. "Dad, no matter what happens, you've fought hard," she said, choking back tears. "You're the strongest person I know." He smiled, his confidence wavering but still present. "And I have you to fight for." As they wheeled him away, she turned to Jake, who wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. "We'll get through this, I promise," he whispered. But as they sat down in the stark waiting room, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest part was yet to come. The silence around them felt heavy, and the weight of unanswered questions loomed large. What challenges awaited them on the other side of this moment? Would their hope defy the odds, or was it merely a fragile wish in the face of fear? Samantha's heart raced with uncertainty, the clock ticking down to an unknown fate. She sensed the darkness creeping closer, and a flicker of dread settled in her gut. Would they all emerge stronger, or would this ultimately lead to a new kind of heartbreak? Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as Samantha sat in the waiting room. Jake's presence was comforting, but even he couldn't dispel the storm brewing inside her. She glanced at the clock, its ticking sound amplifying her agitation. Each tick seemed to echo her fears, intensifying with every passing moment. "Why is this taking so long?" she finally whispered, her voice barely holding together. Jake squeezed her hand gently. It's always like this. They LL update us when they can. Try to breathe. She nodded, but breathing felt impossible with the weight of anxiety pressing on her chest. She turned her focus to the rows of plastic chairs, the sterile walls, and the fluorescent lights above. They felt oppressive, a constant reminder of where they were and the uncertainty trailing behind them. Her eyes wandered to a small child playing with a toy in a corner, laughter bubbling up like a gentle breeze breaking through the tension. For a moment, Samantha allowed herself to bask in that warmth, wishing she could capture that sense of innocence and comfort. But the reality of the situation towered over her. Time continued to stretch out. Just as a sense of monotony began to settle in, the doors swung open, and the doctor stepped through, a deliberate calm in his demeanor, but with a hint of urgency that raised the hairs on her neck. "Samantha, Jake," he called, stepping toward them. "Can we talk?" Samantha's heart dropped. Is it about my dad?" The doctor nodded. "He is out of surgery and recovering well. They'll take him to recovery soon. However, we need to discuss some concerns regarding the next steps." The colors of the room blurred as she stood, her pulse racing. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" The doctor motioned for them to sit. Fear clenched at Samantha's heart as she sank back into the chair, memories of the conversation she just had with her father replaying in her mind. Hope and dread intertwined into a knot within her gut. The procedure went as planned, but he hesitated, searching for the right words. "We found some complications that require further treatment. It's important that we discuss the options." Samantha could feel the world spinning out of control. "Complications? What kind of complications? Can we just fix it?" Jake's hand tightened over hers, grounding her as panic threatened to engulf her. "Doctor, what do you mean? How serious is this?" The urgency in his voice barely masked the worry behind his calm demeanor. "I don't want to alarm you," the doctor said, his gaze steady, "but we need to be clear about potential risks moving forward. The situation requires careful monitoring and potentially additional procedures." Each word hammered like a drum in her chest. The sound blurred as she tried to compute what he was saying. "So what happens now?" He looked at them both with empathy, but time felt suspended as his next words hung in the air. "We'll schedule a meeting with a specialist who can explain everything in detail, but it's crucial to act quickly." Samantha's mind raced. The weight of her father's fight for life suddenly felt heavier. She fought so hard to keep hope alive, and now, in the face of uncertainty, her heart trembled with worry. They were at a precipice. Would her father's battles end in triumph or despair? Could they survive this turmoil and emerge stronger together? Or was this the beginning of a deeper struggle? As her breath quavered, Jake leaned closer. "Whatever happens, we're in this together," he said softly, searching her eyes. "Yeah," she breathed, though the doubt crept back in, overshadowing her conviction. But what if just then a soft ding erupted from her phone, breaking the tension? It was a message from her father, sent shortly before the surgery. "No matter what happens, remember I love you. Stay strong." The words struck deep, igniting a flicker of resolve inside her as hope battled against fear. She clenched the phone, feeling the warmth of her father's love even in uncertainty. But this new reality loomed large, and Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that the fight was just beginning. What if the next steps would change everything? Samantha sat in the hospital waiting room, her heart racing as she clutched Jake's hand tightly. The doctor's words echoed in her mind like a broken record. "We need to act quickly." The tension in the air was palpable, and uncertainty hung over them like a dark cloud. But there was a spark inside her. She remembered her father's text, his love reaching across the chaos they were facing. "No matter what happens, remember I love you." That was the anchor she needed, a reminder that love would guide them through even the toughest storms. The minutes stretched on, and the waiting became a challenge. Jake watched her, his eyes reflecting a sincere determination mixed with concern. "Whatever comes next, we face it together," he assured her, his voice holding steady. "What if it's too much? What if we don't get the answers we need?" Samantha confessed, her voice trembling. She fought back tears, the weight of the unknown crushing her. Jake lifted her chin gently, compelling her to meet his gaze. "We can handle anything, Sam. You don't have to worry alone. Remember what your dad said? He loves you. That love is going to carry him through." Samantha took a deep breath, letting his words wash over her. She had spent so long fearing the future, clinging to doubt and anxiety. But what if she flipped the script? What if she chose hope instead? "You were right," she whispered, the corners of her mouth turning up slightly. "If he can fight, then we can too." With newfound determination, she resolved to focus on the possibilities rather than the perils. Moments later, the doctor returned, his expression serious yet compassionate. "Mr. Reynolds is stabilized. We will consult with a specialist who will go over the options regarding the complications." As they moved forward with the meeting, the air filled with uncertainty, but also a sense of hope. The specialist explained the risks honestly, but added, "There are also promising treatments available. It's crucial we stay proactive." Samantha squeezed Jake's hand, strength surging through her. "Dad will fight," she affirmed, feeling a spark in her heart, "and we'll be right beside him." Back in the recovery room, her father lay with a gentle but worn smile on his face. The sight of him, although frail, ignited a fierce sense of resolve within her. "We're all here with you, Dad," she whispered, sitting by his bedside with Jake beside her, a united front. "I know," he replied weakly, but there was a glimmer of pride in his eyes. "I'm not used to needing others." Samantha's heart ached for the man before her, a survivor who had tirelessly built his world around family expectations. "We want to share this fight. You don't have to do it alone anymore." Jake nodded, his sincerity shining through. "You have our support. We want you to heal, not just physically, but with your heart too." Her father's gaze shifted between them, burdened yet softened. Slowly, understanding began to sink in. "I guess I've led us all down a path of fear instead of embracing love," he murmured, revealing vulnerability that had long been buried. Tears brimmed in Samantha's eyes. "It's okay, Dad. We can change that. One day at a time." As days turned into nights, Samantha's father began to heal, with each moment spent together stitching their family bond tighter. They celebrated small victories, her father suggesting movies they could watch, while Jake helped recount stories of cars and adventures. The lines of expectation started to blur, replaced by laughter and the warmth of connection. One evening, as the sun set and bathed the room in golden light, Samantha's father looked at her, a familiar spark in his eyes. "Dinner soon, just like how I used to do it. You and Jake, my girls, should be at the table." A radiant smile broke out across Samantha's face. "That's a great idea." The comfort of shared meals whispered of tradition, of a family coming back together. In that moment, Samantha felt a rush of nostalgia and joy. She could finally envision the family she had longed for, a blend of the old and the new that embraced love over status, connection over expectations. They gathered for dinner that night. Laughter replaced silence, and the air hummed with stories shared and dreams rekindled. Samantha felt alive, her heart swelling with gratitude and love. "Here's to us." Jake lifted his glass, eyes sparkling, and to love conquering everything. "To family," her father added, raising his glass, his expression warm with acceptance. "To the journey ahead," Samantha declared, realizing they were ready to embrace whatever came next, together. And somewhere out there, amidst all the chaos and uncertainty, they found a spark of hope, the kind that could change everything. The battle was over the path wouldn't always be easy, but they would navigate it side by side. With hands intertwined and hearts united, they dared to dream of a life colored with authenticity and understanding, a legacy laced with love that would continue beyond the storm. Don't miss out on our next exclusive stories that inspire transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you're always in the loop. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our community. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending. We're eager to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting journey. It's the moment to show your support for the channel. You need to engage because only true fans understand the impact of their support.